Welcome to the Prosperity Playground, the podcast where business meets energetics, strategy meets soul, and prosperity becomes inevitable. I'm your host, Anna Lozano, mom, founder, investor, mentor, and energetics in business expert. This is your weekly activation to rewire how you think and feel about wealth, success, and personal power, because it's not about working harder, it's about regulating deeper, aligning stronger, and receiving wider. You don't hustle for your future, you calibrate to your higher self. Join me weekly for high-level conversations with the world's most inspiring entrepreneurs, creators, and thought leaders. True prosperity isn't just about money. It's about alignment, freedom, expansion, and embodying your worth. Welcome to the playground. Let's build your most prosperous life. Welcome back to the Prosperity Playground podcast. Today's guest just launched her book, How Do You Choose? A Human Design Guide to What's Best for You at Work, in Love, and in Life. Erin Claire Jones is one of the world's leading experts in human design. Through her coaching, content, and digital products, she has empowered hundreds of thousands of people to overcome their biggest obstacles and find their flow at work, in love, and in life. Her personalized guides have been purchased by customers in over 160 countries. She has spoken on stages across the world, and her work has been featured in Forbes, Elle, The Sunday Times, Vogue, Allure, Nylon, and more. In this episode, we dive into how human design becomes a compass for scaling businesses in energetic alignment. We look at the behind the scenes of a projector's book launch strategy, and we dive into parenting through the lens of human design. And bonus, if you're a 4-6 sacral generator like me, you'll leave with extra hot tips as Erin Claire Jones dives into my human design throughout this episode. Enjoy the show. Let's do this. Erin Claire Jones, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm truly grateful. Disclaimer, I've been impatiently waiting for your book to arrive in Mexico, and it hasn't.
I know. There's like some weird shipping stuff. There are people who are like, why? I'm like, I don't know.
And I'm so excited. It's going to be the perfect summer holiday read. So your book, it's here. It's called How Do You Choose? A Human Design Guide to What's Best for You at Work, in Love, and in Life. So I'd love to start there. What is human design as a mystical and practical tool in our life to live more in alignment with our unique individual blueprints?
So human design is a system based on your time, date, and place of birth, like astrology, that gives you all this very juicy, practical information on how you can really move through life in a way that feels more in alignment. Whether it's around how you make decisions or show up as a parent or articulate your relationship needs or build a business, it really helps us understand how we are wired to find our own flow. And it also reminds us that we're all wired so, so differently. And I think
So differently.
Yeah, I think we often get caught up seeing what has been successful for others, assuming it might be successful for us. And I think human design reminds us how we are uniquely wired.
Yes, when I found human design, for me, it was this like, oh my gosh, I make sense to me. Like that's what it was. It was this confirmation of how I've been growing up, how I operate, and kind of like pat on the back. You've been living quite in alignment with what your design shows. You are a projector in human design, and what caught my attention was with your book launch, you're literally everywhere. So I had to send you a DM. I'm like, congratulations, you're everywhere. I'm loving this strategy. Can you take us through your launch as a projector, knowing that you've done over 300 podcast interviews for this book launch? So
No. Over 85 for the book launch. No. 300 before the book. 85 for the book launch. Yeah.
Okay.
Just to clarify. Yeah.
Clarification, but 85 podcast interviews to launch the book. And this is where I'm like, you're a projector. How did you do this in staying in alignment with your human design? So take us a little bit through, of course, it's not going to be perfect, but to the best of your ability, living your design, doing this epic book launch, creating this beautiful, powerful brand that now like everyone knows about.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a hustle, I'll be honest. I think that, what we have found in our business. So before the book launch, I've been on over 300 podcasts over the past number of years, and podcasts have been one of the most effective strategies in really getting people to us. I think being able to share about human design through conversation and letting people resonate and come to us. So I think when it came to the book launch, our focus was on podcasts and not on traditional media. Um, I honestly did talk to a number of PR firms and really considered going that route. And yet, my agent and honestly a lot of people were like, I don't know if it's really worth it. And I feel like when I was talking to those firms, they were like, you're kind of booking yourself on them already. I don't really know if it makes sense. So I think that like there's a projector part of me that would love that in the future. And yet we didn't go with it this time because it was just working. So my strategy, and I talk about this a lot with projectors. So if you guys are unfamiliar, our strategy as projectors is to be invited. It's to be recognized and invited and kind of really seen by people. And so kind of direct pitching often doesn't work as effectively. It can, but it's exhausting. It's really around kind of making ourselves visible. So I will say that like cold outreach was not very successful. It was really around to honestly connecting with people that I already know and asking them to help and people that I already feel seen by. And so I think that's really important as a projector, not to let this strategy of being invited to hold you back from letting people know that your work exists, but just being a little more strategic. So, I reached out to people that I already felt connected with who already had big podcasts that I loved. And also there were podcasts that I really wanted to be on where I had like 3 people go to them and be like, you should have Erin on. And so they were like, okay, everyone's coming to me. So I think that I really had to ask for help from people that saw me. And I kind of let that happen. And then, obviously a lot came organically as well. There's been another wave, of course, once the book has come out. So it's been interesting. Like I will say, like I said, it's been an absolute hustle. And yet I think that I just had to really trust that like if I let people know what I was up to, the right people would resonate and come to me.
Yeah, I was gonna say amazing because it's that's about the flow and the ease and the magnetism of it. It's like, and especially once the first few came out, like I said, I was like, oh my God, she's everywhere. This is
Yeah.
brilliant. And that magnetism is contagious.
Totally. And it's exciting because it's also like a lot came out. A lot of the bigger ones haven't yet. So it's fun to kind of like let that continue to flow. But also one strategy which I really loved for me as a projector is that often when there's a book launch, there's like an influencer mailing where, the publisher will ask for a number of influencers that you'll send the book to, and, with the hopes that they'll share about it. And I was like kind of struggling with that because I was like, yeah, I want to send it to my friends that have big followings. But I was also like, but there are a lot of people that are interested in human design. So another exhausting but wonderful thing I did is I paid for this service that basically allowed me to see all of my followers that had, followings above a certain amount. And
Yeah.
so what I did, instead of kind of reaching out to just people that I know, I reached out to people that already follow me, that are interested in human design, and asked if they wanted a copy of the book. And that was so cool because I would never have known about these people because I often didn't know them. And so I was able to kind of send the book out to a lot of people that were like already in love with human design. And that was so nice because I felt like there was already some level of recognition. They were already super interested. I was sending them a book that they were interested in, not just because not like a book that they're like, okay, I don't really care about this, but I'll share it. Like it was something they're excited about. So that was like a fun way to think about as a projector. Okay, who already cares about this? And how can I make sure the book gets in their hands?
So good. I love that. It reminds me. So I launched, scaled, and sold a affirmation company. And I remember these strategies. I'm now more focused on coaching, but it's so fun to
It
have
is.
your product in the hands of people that you may or may not know, especially once it goes out into the wild and people that you don't know. Like holding your precious creation is
I
so
know.
special.
It's such a surreal experience.
It really is. And you did this. We're not going to get into motherhood yet, but you have 2 little ones, which is
I
amazing.
do.
What is your plan post this epic launch, being a projector?
Oh, just in life, you mean? Well, I think it's interesting. Like, I've had a lot of boundaries around, we have support 4 days a week. And I will say that, like, a lot of things, of course, fell by the wayside in my life at the beginning of this year and up until the book launch. But, like, I never wanted to be time with them. So it meant that I was, like, working during nap times or after they went to bed. And so, like, I think that something that is, and it comes back into my life, is having a little bit more space to myself and also with my partner, and also not feeling like every moment needs to be filled with all these crazy things that had to happen. So things feel more spacious. But it was funny, like basically I had the book launch on Tuesday, then my birthday was the next day, then it was like another crazy day of like, I don't know, 15 Instagram lives, and then my husband left, and then I was solo with the girls for 3 days. So it was just been like, it was such a wild week. And I will say that, like, weirdly, being solo with the girls without support after the book launch was like the best thing I could have asked for, because like it was just like so much energy and output. But obviously being with my kids just is like a very different kind of output, equally exhausting but like really gratifying. So I will say we've been without support a lot recently because of the holidays, and it was just like, it's been the nicest time, I will
It's
say. So it feels good. I
so
would,
beautiful.
yeah, I would say post book launch, I don't honestly know what life looks like. I'm still figuring it out.
You're going to be in more momentum. So you're going to let us know what you do and how you figure this
Who
out.
knows? Yeah.
So, if we dive deeper into scaling brands, but specifically looking at human design type, strategy, authority, can you give us specific examples of how understanding this for ourselves really supports founders to scale with more ease? Because we all talk about, we desire the ease and flow, we desire the synchronicity, we desire the alignment, but I feel understanding our human design actually supports this. Like it comes
Yeah.
out of the woo land into more tangible, practical, and we can start to embody it. So, can you take us through some of that?
Yeah, of course. So, if you guys don't yet know your human design, you can look it up at humandesignblueprint.com. I think that it really helps us understand, yeah, how to kind of practically build a business in a way that feels aligned for us and that will be successful, will also feel good. I'll use you as an example as a generator. You are somebody that has pretty boundless, contagious enthusiasm when you feel genuine excitement about what you're doing. So, really just like following the flow around where you feel excited by, that will like pull so many more opportunities your way. I would also say in terms of building a business, you're somebody that I think really needs to work on delegation. I'm sure you have when you've already scaled a business, but I find that generators can end up just carrying so much themselves because they are so capable. And so it often really requires effort to be like, I know that I can do this. And yet I know when I'm super ruthless about where I put my energy, then like I will free up so much of my space and I'll become so much more magnetic. So I'm just curious, kind of your own journey around delegation. Do you feel like you've had an easy time with that, a hard time with that?
I would say at the beginning of the entrepreneurial journey, it really was this control issue of thinking that since I can do it all, I'm
Yeah.
going to do it all. But when I became a mom, that was no longer possible.
Yeah.
And that's really when that connected and clicked for me. And it was like, okay, I no longer can. Therefore, I have to. And being moved into that space was so freeing because everything that I outsourced, those people were in their zone of genius. They did it way better than I ever could. And so it was truly beautiful. And yet I have to say the frustration, which is the not self theme of my 4-6 sacral
Yeah.
generator, that now and forever will be my guiding light, because as soon as I
Totally.
move into that frustration, I know that there's something that I have to look at or I have to outsource or get rid of.
Totally. So basically, we all have these signals in our design that reveal when something's off track and needs to be adjusted. So for you, it's frustration. For projectors, it's bitterness, which is like a lack of recognition or appreciation. For manifestors, it's anger, often kind of this disempowered feeling of not really being in control in the way that they'd like. And for reflectors, it's disappointment, kind of being in the wrong spaces with the wrong people, perhaps trying to kind of confine themselves into a box. So that's such a powerful business tool to kind of help us know, again, when something's out of alignment. I would say two other pieces just to give specific examples for you. One is that, as much energy as you have, you're not really meant to kind of initiate and chase after things. It's often more natural to kind of see what shows up and what you feel kind of naturally pulled to from your gut. And so often generators can feel all this pressure, like I've got to come up with an idea out of thin air, when it's actually just kind of seeing what shows up in your world and kind of what naturally sparks you, and kind of letting your gut be the driver here, even if that pull you feel is inexplicable. So I guess I'm curious how that has manifested for you.
Yeah, and that's so interesting because when I bring in my background and I was raised as a Polish immigrant in Canada, what I witnessed growing up was hard work and hustle. And so naturally, that was my programming. And I would have to say, more so than not, I've been the I create, make it happen. And so when human design came into my life, I'm like, I'm for sure a manifester, maybe a manifesting generator. But then I realized I'm a generator. And so, even launching this podcast, which is the foundational product of this whole brand that I have the long term vision for, but I have no idea after the podcast, the steps that come in between. I would say it's the first time where I'm a lot more in surrender and seeing,
Cool.
okay, what shows up, what comes up. And I got to admit, it's really uncomfortable.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, and I'm curious how it unfolds, just seeing, again, it's not that things can't happen through initiating in that way, but often when you kind of delegate decision making to your gut for you with your design, it just helps you know what you actually have the energy for. Like, what can you show up for, and can you like actually sustain your involvement? So it's a thing to practice. And one thing I would actually advise anyone working with you is you are somebody who responds really well to specific questions. Like, open-ended questions can be great to kind of brainstorm and kind of think through all the possibilities because you're somebody who's so easily inspired and can look at things from so many different angles. But when people ask you really specific questions around decisions, like, do you like option A or option B? Do you want to have this guest or not? Like, do you want to work with this, company or not? You might find that you have like an immediate visceral response. And for you, that is your truth. That's not true for all generators, but you might find that decision making becomes a lot easier and more efficient when you are presented kind of specific options instead of open-ended questions.
Yes. And see, I love that. And that's why there was a minute of hesitation around podcasting because I love being on podcasts because it's that response. So when I'm asked that specific question, it's that intuitive hit, that sacral, like knowing
Yeah.
of responding. Whereas now I'm in a reverse position. And I have to say, I am really intentional with preparing each podcast because every single guest is so multifaceted, so fascinating that you can go in a bazillion directions.
Of
Yours is
course.
more targeted because it's a book launch. And yet we can talk about life, we can talk about business, we can talk about parenthood. And
Yeah.
so that's been interesting from a human design standpoint. Like, would you
Yeah.
say it still means I am in alignment, even though I'm not responding in this role?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we're always responding. So, like, you're definitely responding when it comes to your guests and kind of who you feel like somebody shows up in your world. And it's like, oh my God, I feel like so sparked and excited by them. It's not like, I think that I should have them because many other podcasts have. It's like, no, my body is literally undeniably pulling me towards them. And then I think when it comes to preparation, like, I think that you're starting a podcast, so it probably makes sense to prepare, but like, you're somebody who's really goes in with the flow, like, as in, you might find that you prepare and then you sit with somebody and you actually feel drawn to going in an entirely different direction. And I would give yourself the freedom to do that. You're also somebody who's honestly not meant to plan what you're going to say. Like, you're so good in the moment to say things spontaneously that just land in a way that you could never have anticipated. So again, it's not saying don't plan, but I would say plan and then hold the plan quite loosely.
Yes. And that's also that getting to know the sacral so well. It's like that responsive knowing. Take us through some more. So I actually just learned, I have it written down that my daughter is a 5-1 ego manifester. And I'm like, ooh, I actually have no idea what that means. So we're going to touch on parenthood in a second. But when we look at sacral, ego, emotional, can you take us through that and how it applies to us founders building really conscious businesses?
Yeah, so this is a part of human design called authority. So when you look up your chart at humandesignblueprint.com, you'll see a number of attributes listed. Your type, this is the kind of the piece we've been circling around: generator, projector. There are 3 other types as well: manifesting generators, manifestors, and reflectors. And then there's a piece of our design called authority. There are 7 possible authorities, and it speaks to our decision making. This is a really core part of my book, How Do You Choose? That's where the title comes from, because I think human design really helps us know how to make decisions, which is so important as a founder, as a mother, as a human in the world. We're making decisions all day, every day, and human design helps us know how to choose in a way that we can really trust every single time. So What we've referenced for you is that you are a sacral authority, meaning that you are meant to make decisions in the moment based on your gut feeling. It's a visceral feeling in your belly that will kind of either pull you toward or push you away. It comes without reason. It's like it feels right or doesn't, don't know why, trust that I'll find out why later. So there's a lot of talk out there of like follow your gut, listen to your gut. That is not true for all of us. It is so very especially true for you. And you do not need to sleep on a thing. So before I kind of go through the rest briefly, like, do you feel that gut feeling? Does that feel like a thing you trust?
Yes, I definitely don't sleep on anything. And it's when I allow the mind to go in. Like I know the sacral knows she's so loud. And yet when I allow the logic and the mind to come in, I can see that I lose the power, the magnetism in that. So it's like just trusting my sacral even more with each decision.
Yes, I love it. Okay, and yeah, and I think you will build trust the more you kind of act on it. You'll be like, oh, that's like something very real. So the other authorities, there are emotional authorities. This is me. We are meant to sleep on things and feel into things. So when it comes to decisions in the business and in life, I'm often so tempted to give an immediate response. Yet when I do, I tend to wake up the next day and regret it. So I've learned to kind of build in a buffer time of 24 to 48 hours to make sure that it continues to feel right. And if it continues to feel right and there's kind of a peace around the decision, then I know I'm meant to follow it.
So the emotion piece of that, like what does it feel like for you?
It's funny. I feel like the emotional name is a little bit deceiving
Okay.
because it's not like choosing based on your emotions. It's basically letting your emotions settle before you choose. It's about feeling
Ah,
into a decision from like multiple emotional moments and waves and seeing kind of what stays true in the lows and the highs and everywhere in between. Where we
okay.
get
That's
stuck,
brilliant.
yeah, where we get stuck is when we choose from the height of the emotions, whether it's the high or the low, where it's like, it's amazing because I'm feeling amazing, or like it's not right because I'm feeling low. It's more like what stays true amongst through all those waves, through all those places.
Okay, brilliant. And then so ego, what does that mean?
Ego. So your daughter, it's actually a very rare one. I love hearing that she's an ego manifestor. How old is she?
She is turning 7. So she's a Gemini, 5-1 ego manifester. And she's just completely different than my firstborn, which was a lot easier. So she's more like me. She's a 4-6 sacral manifesting generator. My 9-year-old and then my 7-year-old. You got to add the Gemini into that as well.
So manifestors, yeah, I have my oldest is a manifesting generator, my 2.5-year-old, and my 8-month old is a manifester with an ego as well. She's a different authority, but she's got a very strong sense of will, like your daughter. I think that okay, here's what I'd say. Ego authorities, like they are meant to choose based on like what they desire, what they want. Like it's that kind of this like intense conviction where when something's for them, they'll be like, I must have it. I want it. I need it. Like when they desire something, they can literally move any mountain in the way to make the thing happen. Their sense of will is just insanely powerful. These are very willful children.
Yes.
Meaning that you probably can't get in the way much when she really wants a thing. Obviously, there are probably going to be some things that you have to say no to, but you know, having a manifestor child is having a child who like I can't say is self-led because they're children and like they're figuring out the world, but like they are very natural leaders. They know what they want. They even with my 8-month old, she's incredibly discerning. It's like and so I'm just watching what she wants and how she wants it and giving her the space to act on that wherever and however she can. Yeah, I guess I'm curious. Do you feel that kind of will from her?
Oh my goodness. Sophie, and I didn't know this. So I came across human design probably when they were 4 and 6, I want to
Okay.
say, if I were to guess. And I was realizing like my parenting quote unquote strategies with each one were just not working. Like what was working with Maya, my manifesting generator 4-6 sacral, was not working at all with my manifester. And so when I found out like manifester 5-1 ego, oh my gosh, everything now makes sense about Sophie. And interestingly enough, so I named her Sophie Grace Lozano. And when she came out, I was like, she is not a Sophie Grace. Like she is not a Sophie Grace. Like there was no other explanation after a few weeks. So I renamed her to SOFI, literally changed the spelling of her name, took out the Grace because she's this like independent, make it happen, knows what she wants, strong willed little
Yeah.
human. And she's going places. Like, so her name needs to fit that. And so I think we all need to find out our child's human design, get to know them a little bit, and then give them a name. Because if I kept that name, it would just not suit her in this lifetime.
That's hilarious.
And so it's been so fascinating to understand them more deeply. So let's switch gears to from scaling to parenthood.
Yeah.
How do we start to understand them more and then support them in really growing up in their design?
Yeah. Well, human design is powerful in so many different contexts, but I would say parenting is probably the most powerful one because I think what I often see with clients and now as a mother myself is that kids tend to express their design so purely when they're young. Like you don't have to like tell Sophie to be a manifester. Like she's just like, I'm independent, I'm autonomous, I need freedom, I know what I want, like get out of my way. Like that's just who manifestors are, but so often then they kind of get conditioned into trying to be something else, whether it's by their parents, by their community, by their school, by their friends, whoever. It's so easy for all of us to be conditioned in that way. And then often later in life, they like rediscover that like, oh wait, this is who I am. Let me like find my way back. And so I think we have an opportunity as parents to give them permission to be who they are from day one.
I love
Where
that.
like, and like just to give practical examples, like you have a generator daughter. I have a manifesting generator
No,
daughter.
manifesting generator.
Oh, great. Okay, you have a manifesting generator daughter. And so, like, you basically have this eldest daughter who's incredibly multi-passionate, very multidimensional, probably can't be confined into a box, is meant to try things, start things, let them go, move on to the next one. You can imagine that, like, these people can be made to feel scattered, like they're doing too much, like they've got to choose one thing, like they've got to niche down. They're just not meant to. And so like you can give her permission from this young age of like at 9 where it's like, it's okay to try things on. It's also okay to let things go. Like I once had a client who was a generator. His daughter was a manifesting generator. And when he came to me, he's like, Erin, like she's just like, I'm struggling so much. She's playing volleyball, softball, lacrosse. Like she will not choose a sport and stick to it. And I was like, she's doing great. You know what I mean? She's like being the perfect manifesting generator. So I think it just helps us know how our kids are wired differently than us, how they are wired specifically in a way that allows us to support them, So like really kind of giving your manifesting generator space to explore many things, also giving her specific things to respond to, kind of seeing what elicits that really strong gut feeling from her. With your manifestor kid, like giving her freedom wherever and however you can. Like obviously it doesn't make sense for her to lead in all the ways, but even having a day a week where she calls the shots. So I think it just helps us understand them. And I think one thing I'll say is like, I don't think it's necessarily a thing where it's like, now I know your design, I've got to like reorganize everything. It's more like, let me just use it to observe you and then see how I can support you and just like kind of continuing to become the thing that you're naturally drawn to.
Yes. I think the most brilliant piece of this conversation is that they already naturally are. So for me, it was this
They're already doing
confirmation.
it. Yeah.
They're doing it. And like you said, it's society and everything externally that then puts them in a box. And so intuitively for me, I knew I wanted to put my girls in a Waldorf school. I wanted it to be very different than traditional because again, Polish immigrant, I was raised extremely traditionally and doing what I thought I had to do in order to please my parents and be successful in society. Whereas with them, I instinctively knew this, that I wanted to do things differently. And interestingly, with my Manny Jen, so I naturally was like, hey, do you want to try this? Do you want to try this? Do you want to try skateboarding? Do you want to try art lesson? Do you want to try swimming? And the luxury of spending some time in Mexico throughout the year is we can do a lot of different private classes. So they're trying everything and then they have a choice of what they want to continue with and excel at. And so my Manny Jen is loving skateboarding and she's also very creative. So she's very artistic, but she didn't like art class. And so it's not up to me to decide what they're going to do. It's like having this freedom of expression to choose, and very grateful and privileged to have all these choices around me so that they can really pinpoint what it is that they want. And then my Manny Jen, my manifestor, total freedom. Like she already embodies that and we have to follow her lead. So what else would you layer in from like a parenthood standpoint? Because I feel as parents, it's also similar to the choice of conscious parenting. Once we make the choice, everything around us supports that choice. So with human design as a parent, once you dive in and start exploring, you'll start to realize what's happening around you. How else could we use it specifically in motherhood and parenthood?
Well, and I will just say, like, my biggest hope for the book, and I feel like I'm already using it this way, and I can't wait for you to get your copy, is that, like, I'm watching people read the chapters about themselves, and then they're immediately going back to read the chapters about their kids and their
Yes.
partners and their colleagues. And, like, it's just so, honestly, like, even I wrote the book, and I still read the chapters with my husband and my daughters, and I'm like, oh my God, yes. Oh my God, I could do this better. So, like, it's just so hilarious and useful, like, in terms of how spot on these things are and how much it reminds us of like how we can better support the people that we love. I would say the piece that comes up in response to that question is that yes, it helps us know how to better and very specifically support our children, but it also helps us know how to support ourselves as parents. Like I know as a projector, and I know we haven't, you guys, there will be lots of places to learn about the types later, but like for me, having space and time alone and like ample rest, like those things are so integral to my design. I do not get a whole lot of rest right now, especially compared to what my life looked like pre-kids or honestly pre-book. But I like will take it wherever I can get it, And I know, and even from an early age with my eldest, it was just like I would like go to Pilates. I would like have a moment to myself. Like I just knew how important that alone time was. And I would say for you as a generator, as a mother, like having space to kind of do the things that really bring you joy and light you up, like, and it could be being with them all the time, or it could be like doing your podcast or building a business or like going on a retreat with your favorite friends, like whatever it is, like you being lit up is the best version of them that they can get. And so I think it helps us know as parents, like what do we need to make sure that we are doing this sustainably, because being a parent is a lot. There's a lot, so taking care of ourselves in the process.
Yeah, it really is a lot. And for me, I love obviously my children and my family. And yet over the next couple of weeks, I'm actually going to spend 2 weeks by myself, which I haven't
Wow.
had in a long time. And it's like I know that I need those moments to show up as the best version of myself for them. And
Totally.
so intuitively, I stacked these launch recordings over the month of May. So now I'm reaching my max of 17 recordings in one
Wow.
month. And then I'm going to launch. And then I am going to have a beautiful summer where I get to, yes, serve my clients and immerse in play and joy and just fun adventuring with the kids. Like, so that's the intention that I'm putting out there. And that's what's lighting me up from the sacral. It's like, okay, this has been intentionally mapped out and we're going to enjoy because I
I
know
love
that I
it.
want to show up as the best version of myself for everyone around me.
Yeah.
So, partnerships, business partnerships, relationships. So my husband is actually also a generator. And
Cool.
yet, like, he doesn't seem like a generator. I have way more energy. I could, like, we've done some crazy moves over the last few years. So when the pandemic hit, we sold absolutely everything we owned. My idea, moved across the country to British Columbia, Canada, enjoyed our time there, bought a house, came down to Mexico over the last 2 years, spend winters here, like all these insane ideas that my husband's like, okay, I guess so, let's do it. And yet he has a very similar design to mine. So what's going on there?
Well, I will just say it's so useful in partnership because I think so often we make each other wrong or there's some friction because we're like, oh, they don't make decisions like I do or they don't have the energy that I do. And I think human design just helps us understand how different we are and helps us realize that that disconnect we're feeling is often just a result of misunderstanding. And it's such an amazing tool there. I don't have his specific design up, but there's so much nuance within generators. Like our type is just the first piece, so there could be 1,000 reasons why. I will say one thing around generators is like their energy is boundless when they feel genuinely excited by what they're doing, when they feel deeply satisfied. So like if generators are in jobs that are frustrating or that they don't really enjoy, like it kind of can suck the energy out of them and like be quite draining. So it's so important for generators to kind of prioritize their own satisfaction and excitement wherever they can because it gives them so much energy. So I'm curious, like, I don't know what he does for work. Like, does he enjoy what he's doing? Is that a thing that lights him up?
It's interesting. So he owns a digital marketing agency. So he's been in that role since 2017. So going on 7 years. So I feel like right now he's approaching the time where it's time to look at, hey, how can we infuse this entire brand, this entire business with new energy? And we've
Yes.
started to have those conversations. I think that's where the disconnect was.
Totally. And I think one thing for generators to know, especially for both of you, like how you guys feel about your work and how you're spending your days is incredibly impactful. When
Yeah.
you're lit up, it's like you're like sunlight, you're just kind of pouring out enthusiasm in a way that's so uplifting for everyone. Whereas when you're kind of drained and frustrated, you're like unintentionally pouring out sluggishness, and people are like feeling that frustration. So you two being aligned in that way just has such a tremendous impact on your environment.
Yes. So interesting. 18 months ago, I went through this entire, I would say, recalibration. Also, I was in the void. I sold a company. I didn't know what I was going to create next. I didn't feel inspired to really jump in full force with a new vision. And so I really took the time to go within. And it really began my journey of rediscovering my feminine energy, healing my nervous system from this thought, this programming that I always have to be creating. And yet it was uncomfortable. It was frustrating. I had a really hard time going into this void and trusting that on the other side is my magic. So, what can you say around that of like self discovery, moving through a death and rebirth phase when it's actually totally out of alignment for my generator energy of one, and I still had the same amount of energy, yet it was not satisfaction. It was very frustrating.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing to be aware of, especially as a generator, is like often for like new things to come in, you have to let go. Like you've got to create space for new things to arrive and like start to pay attention. If it feels like nothing's coming, some of the ways that you can work with that is one, using your energy in ways that feel satisfying, and it doesn't have to be work related at all. It could be like, this friend lights me up. Listening to this podcast brings me joy. Like I love, going for a run, like whatever the thing is, like I would actually focus most in those moments on using your energy in ways that feel really satisfying. And then just open your awareness and see what's coming. And like what's coming can be like, oh my God, I listened to this podcast and I got so lit up by this idea they were talking about. I'm going to go like investigate that. Or like, I saw this person on Instagram. I'm so curious with them. I'm going to reach out. So it's really around kind of how can you use your energy in ways that feel good, because that is the thing that starts to pull more and more aligned opportunities your way.
And yet I was in the void for 18 months of just like, hey,
Well, there's a lot of pressure to fill the space. And I
yes.
think the work is like, and I get it, especially if there's like a financial thing. And, the key is to be like, but what do I feel naturally drawn to, and not forcing that gut feeling before it naturally arrives.
Yes. So more things that bring joy to generators, more of that. What else? So you've had a lot of conversations over the last few months. What else would you want to tie into this conversation? We went through strategy, we went through parenthood. We're speaking to female founders who are ambitious, they are creating, they are rebalancing their energies and healing their nervous system. What else could we add to this conversation?
Well, I would just say that like human design is such an amazing tool to just help you understand how you're meant to build differently, and also I think specifically like what kind of support you need around you, which I find to be so useful. So like, the pieces of the chart I would look at is like your type for sure, your strategy, which is around how you create opportunities, your authority, which is around how you make decisions. I might also look at your profile, which is like, for example, for you, like your profile is so much around your community,
Yeah.
and like, and your relationships, and that so much kind of builds from the people that you know and that you're meant to work with friends. Like, I feel like when founders really kind of get those elements dialed in, everything in their life becomes so much easier.
Yes. Yeah, that 4 6. So the four really is a community builder. And that's something that intuitively I knew from the very beginning. I chose to go to business school and I realized I was there to network. And then in my early 20s, I created a brand called Ms. Connector. And I just wanted to connect everyone. I'm like, I have so many amazing
So
women in my
good.
life, so many amazing humans. I need to connect everyone. And so that's something that I just naturally acted on without even knowing the four. And then the six. So I was listening to your interview with Lori Harder, who's actually episode 1 of this podcast.
Oh,
And she has a very similar profile to mine. So the
she does.
six is coming into, what do you call it when it's around 50, where it's like my zone
50
of
is, yeah, 50 is like really when these people are meant to hit their prime. Kind of
prime. Okay.
when they're like here to kind of share their gifts and their perspective in like such a powerful way, and also in like such an embodied way, where they kind of really inspire others to become more authentic because they're just so authentic themselves.
So my wisdom is gonna drop down even more in 9 years. So what do
That's
I do
right.
until then? Keep following
Keep
my
going.
sacral.
Yeah, keep going. You know, when you have it, and again, you guys can look up your profile at humandesignblueprint.com. If the six would be true for you if you look at your profile and you're 6'2", 6'3", 4'6", or 3'6". But the six is basically around having these different phases where the first 30 years is trial and error galore. 30 to 50 is really a time to just process all that you've learned, see things from a higher perspective. You might find that more and more people are kind of coming to you for your wisdom. I find the 40s is such a magical time for these people because they just become so intolerant of anything that's not fully aligned, you know, and they kind of just like throw those things away. So it's, and then 50 is kind of when you are just here to share your gifts in bigger and bigger ways. So there's nothing to wait for. It's just kind of meant to keep ripening and getting better.
So exciting. So what's your vision for the role human design plays in the future of really conscious businesses that so many of us are choosing to build?
Yeah, I just think I hope it gives, my vision is that it really gives people permission to build businesses in ways that feel really aligned with their energy. Like I think so often people might build things that could be successful or not, but it doesn't feel good. And I think human design helps us know like how can you actually build a thing in a way that feels good, feels sustainable, feels spacious. So, and also my hope is that people use it to not only understand their own wiring, but how to like better support the people that are working with and for them. You know, if they expect everyone to be like them, it will be super disappointing.
And
But if they really,
yet the world is operating as generators.
yeah, so I think when they take the time to really understand the unique gifts of each person and how to really tap into them, like things are magic. I work with so many teams. It's some of my favorite work that I do because it's just so amazing to sit with the team and then being like, oh my God, you are so good at that. Oh my God, yes, I could ask questions this way. Like, I think it just brings so much more harmony to working together. And I think so much more compassion around how different people are.
I love that. Is there any, I don't want to say the word negative, but when, people use it as an excuse.
I think people can use anything as an excuse. You know,
Yeah.
human design might fill that bucket, but I just think that like we often know when we're doing it, you
Yeah.
know? Like I think if you're a generator and you're like, okay, like I have to be lit up by what I'm doing and therefore like I'm not gonna take out the garbage. Like we live in a world, like things have to happen. Like I think and I talk about this specifically in the book, that specific example of like yes, as a generator, you need to be lit up, but your work is to be primarily satisfied by what you do. Because, of course, there will be mundane things you don't have to do, but you must do as a parent, as a human in the world. And so I think that, like, if we really ask, I think we know when we're using it as an excuse. I, too, have. I was like, there were moments where I was like, I'm a projector, I can't reach out to anyone. And then I was like, but nobody knows that I exist, and I have a book coming out, you know? So, like, I'm going to have to find a way to do it in a way that feels good to me, in a way that feels not pushy, in a way that feels like I'm giving these people something to respond to. So I would say that like human design is not meant to be a thing that holds you back. It's meant to be a thing that propels you forward in a way that feels truer to you. So I would be aware of the moments because we all do it of like when we're using that or something else as an excuse. And I'm gifted with a very direct partner. So I think the moments when I use it as an excuse, I'm called out pretty quickly.
I love that. Me too. Like doing the dishes, just like you said, the garbage. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't do that. Actually, when I was working my first serving job, I was like, I just don't take out the garbage. Like, that's just not what I do. And I was like, this is so fascinating how tied it is to innately and authentically being myself. Oh
Totally.
my gosh, this is so good. I am going to go into our final three questions. Do you have anything else to add before we do that?
No, no, thank you so much.
So, your future self, 20 years from today, what message does she have specifically for you today?
Oh my gosh. I mean, so many. I mean, like, I just feel like I'm at like such a precious moment with my kiddos. So I think it would just be like, just be in it. Just keep being in it. You know, I think that like, it's such a weird time to be like, God, I know I'm going to look back on these days, you know? And so I think I would just remind myself to just, you know, turn towards having meaningful experiences with them and my partner every chance I get.
Yes. And having two girls, 7 and 9 in this moment, I got sucked into looking at photos last week and I was like, oh my gosh, they're so huge.
I
And
don't know.
I would do
Oh,
anything to go back to those moments. So
I
just
know, so
enjoy
bad.
and bask it up and it goes so fast.
I know, it already is. My 2.5-year-old, I'm like, you're a giant.
Oh my gosh. So,
I know.
parenthood, what is one truth you hope your kids carry in their hearts because they felt it in the way that you lived?
I would just say that like my husband and I are both like such observers and question askers. So like, and they appear to already be the same, our daughters, but I guess I just really hope that they show up in the world in a way that's really kind and also in a way where they really are curious about people, and they really ask good questions even from a young age. So I guess I don't know if I can force any of that on them, but I guess I hope to teach them how to engage with others in a way that makes others feel seen and to really build relationships that last and that they care about.
Beautiful. And what's your definition of prosperity?
Oh gosh. I mean, I think just like, I don't know, just like feeling rich in all the areas. Like money doesn't even come up. I think it's more around just like feeling free. Free to like I think it is, and money allows this, but I think it's like really free to design my days and my life in a way that really reflects my values, and so anything that really allows that.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Everyone has to get their hands on your book. And where
Yeah.
can everyone find you?
So the book is called How Do You Choose? A Human Design Guide to What's Best for You at Work and Love and in Life. People can find me at Erin Claire Jones and Human Design Blueprint on Instagram. We also sell custom guides and courses on our website, humandesignblueprint.com, and you can use the discount code PROSPERITY for that.
Thank you so much for being here, sharing your wisdom, and I truly appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining me on today's episode of the Prosperity Playground podcast. If this convo sparked something in you, be sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts so you never miss your weekly activation. If you enjoyed the conversation, please rate and review. Your feedback helps us reach more souls just like you who are ready to calibrate to their most prosperous life. Know someone who needs this frequency boost? Share the episode to Instagram and tag me @_Anna Lozano so we can grow our energetically aligned community together. And please remember, true prosperity is about alignment, freedom, expansion, and embodying your worth today. See you on the next activation.